Good morning, this is Luke with Austin's Appliance Service. This is not the usual medium I choose to employ. I don't usually like to use video. I'm much more of a write it out kind of guy. But I tried to write a post this morning about different times I've run into scams, when truly people have been scammed or taken advantage of. And immediately that drew those scam accounts like flies. I can't stand them. So I deleted the post because I didn't want people clicking on bad links on scam links on a post about scams. And so hopefully by using this form, maybe that'll stop them. But if you do see comments on this video, with any links to click, don't click on them. These people put all their efforts into taking advantage of other people, and they're the lowest form of human, in my opinion. But anyway, so there were some different stories I was retelling of times I've run into people that were taken advantage of. The first one I tried to retell was about, there was this washer over to Lake Miramichi. They're south of Everett. And a company had come out and they had told them they needed a transmission for their washer and made the customer buy it, which was really weird right off the bat. Customer buys the part, service company collects a service call, or this fella, and totally ghosted them. They called once they had the part. He wouldn't return their calls. He wouldn't call them back. And after about 2 weeks of that, they called me. At this time I was still with Gregory's, so they called Gregory's, and I went out, and lo and behold, this washer that this man diagnosed in needing a $200 ear transmission needed a $40 thrust bearing kit. But he made him, he collected the service call, he disappeared, which has been the MO of scammers in this field. There's a lot of times what they'll do is they'll collect a service call. They'll collect the whole bill up front. If they want the whole bill up front, right there, to me, that's like a red flag. I would not recommend people do that or go for that. That's always trouble. If someone's wanting all the money up front and not willing to order the part and collect once they finish the job, and right there, you should be leery. The second one I was telling about, I think she was also, this is an elderly lady near Everett. I believe she was also in that Everett area. A different company, national chain type company, right? So a lot of times people think when they call a national chain, if it has an 800 number, that they must really know what they're doing. They're a big service provider, but I've actually found that to be the opposite. Usually these guys are sent off to like some 6-week training school, have no real foundation in the repair world, and then are just cut loose. And so I've actually found that the guys that you find with the 800 number and you got to go through the call center in India, they're no good. But anyway, so on this one, it was this elderly lady. She had a very simple top mount refrigerator, and they wanted her to pay $125 service. Well, they did. She did pay this bill. Paid $125 service call, and then on top of that, they charged her a $100 laptop diagnostic fee, which back in those days, the electronics were just starting to come out, the new electronic appliances, and they made like a port that you could plug in and let essentially the laptop would talk to the control. And a lot of times that's how these guys would get other people involved in their repair, because most of the time I find that people that needed the laptop didn't know what they were doing. I've never found an appliance in 23 years that you needed a laptop to actually diagnose. So anyways, they charge her a $100 fee to plug in a laptop, only to find that when I come out after it wasn't fixed, you needed a $50 fan motor in the freezer. And it was something that was so simple that anybody that had been doing this work that was worth a grain of salt would have known. I mean, it's a simple matter of, yes, I have voltage to the fan. No, I don't have a working fan. You don't need a laptop involved for that type of situation. And of course, she was really upset. I think if I remember right, we ended up biting the bullet on that, and I didn't charge her a service call just because I felt bad that she got taken advantage of by someone else. What was the other? Oh, and the third one was another refrigerator. This one, I don't know if I'd call it a scam as much as just complete incompetence. I was called out because the display on the dispenser was dead. No lights, wouldn't respond. And I go in and I open it up, and it's all I can see is black tape. They'd gotten in there like the rednecks do, and they take the wires and they twist the wires together and just wrap a little tape around them. It was like there was multiple places like that behind this display. And what I think, if I remember correctly, they were in there trying to work on something else. Well, they got in there and broke all these wires, not put it in back together right. So this ended up costing the customer quite a bit, because what I actually needed to fix the problem that the previous service provider created before I could fix the problem. Because now I got to change the wiring harness. And then after I change the wiring harness, now I can actually diagnose it and find that I also need a control. So that was I don't know if we'd call that one a scam. And I think that one would be just fall under the complete incompetence. And then the other one I was trying to remember or tell people about was it was the refrigerator in Reed City. They went out and they told the customer they were doing this, and I was shocked. Because they told her they had the parts on the van, but they were used parts, or on their vehicle. The amazing thing was that they charged her. It was a damper assembly in the refrigerator section and the condenser fan in the back. They charged her more than I would have charged her for new parts. And neither part had anything to do with her problem. It was a $20 defrost, what they call a bimetal. It's a thermostat. It's a different word for a thermostat. But it was $20. It was $20, and they charged her over $400 for used parts. And they told her they were used parts, and they charged her that kind of money, and it was ridiculous. But anyways, and then on top of it, this guy was claiming, what really bothered me was not only was this dude a scammer, but he claimed to be a Christian. And in part of that was she told me he laid hands on the fridge and prayed over the refrigerator and then scammed her. You know, to me, that's just, that one boils my blood, because it just makes it that much worse. Not only were you busy scamming, but you did it while wearing the name Christian. It's no wonder Christians get a bad name. And what if you got one opportunity with people to tell them about Jesus, to tell them about sin and salvation, and instead you act like a shake-sticking shaman that laid his hands on the refrigerator. I just, that's a whole nother subject. But anyways, so these were the stories I was trying to retell. But the scam bots on Facebook descend every time you use the word scam. And so I was really trying to avoid that opportunity. And once I saw them descending like flies, I deleted the post. So hopefully doing this in this form will keep them off the post. I don't know if it'll work. But anyways, I got to get to work now. You guys have a good day.